Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Box Office Talk. This is the show where I break down what happened at the box office, see if my predictions for the top 5 are correct, then make predictions for next week's top 5. So let's get right on into it. First off, I just want to say I'm having a pretty bad headache today, so excuse me for not sounding the best right now. Just suffer through me as I try to get through these numbers and the results and all that jank. So let's go over my predictions from last week, which were number 1 would be Dunkirk, number 2 would be War for the Planet of the Apes, number 3 would be Valerian, number 4 would be SpiderMan Homecoming, and number 5 would be Despicable Me 3. And surprisingly, I only got 1 out of 5 of my predictions right, because there was one movie that I thought, there's no way this movie can get into the top 5. I just don't see it happening. Well, it happened. Let's go over that in a second. But first, number 1 was, of course, Dunkirk, the only prediction I got right, making $50 million this weekend. And this is actually a higher opening weekend than both Interstellar and The Prestige and a couple other Nolan films. It didn't top Inception or The Dark Knight or Dark Knight Rises, but this is still a really great opening for a Nolan movie, especially since it is a movie that a ton of people should be seeing. I'm a little disappointed that it didn't open a little bit more than 50 million, but on the worldwide chart it is sitting at 105 million right now, so it's almost past the 150 million budget line, and it'll get to 300 million very soon. I'm very certain of that because this movie is a very important film, a film that people are going to be talking about for a long time. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it got some Oscar recognition, even if it is a summer Christopher Nolan movie. It is that good that I think the Oscars might actually recognize it, but we'll see. That's why I think this movie is going to do pretty well in the next coming weeks. Number 2, we had Girls Trip. I had thought this is not going to make it to the top 5. Rough Night did terribly a couple weeks back, so there's no way this is going to make it, but surprise, surprise, the Rotten Tomatoes score was exceptional, actually. I think it's like right around 80 or 90% right now, and it made $30 million this weekend at the box office, which is almost doubled its $19 million budget. It only needs $8 million more, but the fact that it opened this strong is actually a pretty good sign. Now, I haven't seen the movie, so I can't say whether it is good or not, but I can say that I was shocked to see that it actually got to number 2. I honestly started thinking maybe it'll get into the top 5, but just like barely, and it actually just surpassed the competition and just met up with Dunkirk, and that is really surprising to me. I didn't expect this movie to do as well as it did, but it did, so that's pretty cool of it. Number 3 was Spider-Man Homecoming, which was actually able to nudge out Planet of the Apes, making $22 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $251 million, and on the worldwide chart it is sitting at $571 million. So that's very good for this movie. It's also, I think it just surpassed Doctor Strange on the MCU chart as highest grossing MCU movies go domestically, and it already surpassed Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's getting very close to surpassing The Amazing Spider-Man as far as the domestic numbers go. So that is very good for this film. I don't think it's going to be able to surpass the original Sam Raimi trilogy. Maybe one of them, I forget which one, was the lowest grossing one out of the 3. But maybe it'll surpass that one, but the other 2 I'm not so sure because those made a lot of money, and I'm not sure if Homecoming has the speed right now to catch up to that, domestically at least. At number 4 is War for the Planet of the Apes, which I was honestly shocked by since it was beating out Spider-Man last weekend on its opening weekend, and now it actually lost by $2 million. It made $20 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $97 million, which is very close to $100 million domestically. I'm still happy with it, even though I think it should have already gotten $100 million because this movie is such a freaking masterpiece of the summer. But on the worldwide chart, it is sitting at $174 million. So it still has a ways to go before it doubles its $150 million budget. I'm sure that it will do that before it leaves. This movie is more popular, and it is being well received enough to where the box office will probably grow even more than this. So I'm not worried about that, and the other 2 Ape movies did very well. I'm just saying that I wish this movie was had a stronger stance, because instead of just Spider-Man surpassing it kind of easily, but still it's doing a pretty solid job. At number 5, however, we have an actual bomb, which is Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets, making $17 million this weekend. Now, on the budget, it is sitting at $209 million. I guess it's kind of a weird number on both Wikipedia and Box Office Mojo, so I guess it's like $209 million. And that's a pretty pretty big budget, and this movie did not open well enough for that at all. Kind of makes you feel bad for Luc Besson, but then I remember that The Fifth Element was not a very good movie, and I don't feel so bad anymore. So I haven't seen the movie yet. It looked pretty cool visually. I just didn't know how well it would do at the box office. Whenever I saw the trailer for this movie, I always, whispered over to the people I was with saying, this movie looks like it's gonna flop big, and look what happened, it's flopping big right now. At number 6, we have Despicable Me 3, a movie that's not flopping big. It made $12 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $213 million, and on the worldwide chart, it is sitting at $727 million. Slowly but surely, chugging along to the $1 billion margin. I'm sure it'll be able to do that very soon, because this movie it's quietly been getting to $1 billion. Not too much. It hasn't been doing it like as fast as you'd expect it to be, especially since the Minions and Despicable Me has become so popular nowadays, but still, as other movies start coming out and this movie starts to lower on the chart, it is still making a lot more money, to where it is almost at $1 billion. I'm pretty sure it'll get there before it leaves the top 10. Moving on to number 7, which is Baby Driver, making $6 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $84 million, which is so good for this film because on the worldwide chart it is sitting at $118 million. It was able to triple its $34 million budget, and it's on its way to quadruple it if I'm doing my math correctly on the spot. That is so good for this film. I'm a little bummed to see it just keep declining as much as it is, but still, this movie has been doing so well. It surprised the hell out of me, honestly. I didn't expect this movie to do as well as it is doing right now, but I'm just so happy to see this because Edgar Wright movies usually always not do perfectly at the box office, and here we have one that's actually doing phenomenally. Number 8 is The Big Sick, making $5 million this weekend. More people went out to see it because, the praise and the commercials and all that, which is pretty good. That adds to a domestic total of $24 million. I have not seen the film yet, and I also don't know what its budget is, but I'm assuming it's doing well financially. Moving on to number 9, which is Wonder Woman, making $4 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $389 million, and on the worldwide chart, it is sitting at $779, so it's about to leave the top 10. It hasn't surpassed Batman v Superman as highest grossing DCEU film worldwide wise. That's kind of disappointing to me. I was hoping that this movie would have the power to do that, but unfortunately not. This is still a great achievement though for it, and it's also getting another one. Wonder Woman 2 was officially announced at Comic-Con a couple days ago, so that is super great for Wonder Woman. This movie's doing fantastically. I just would have liked to see it kick Batman v Superman's buttocks. And finally, number 10, a movie I saw recently, Wish Upon, making $2 million, adding to a domestic total of $10 million. Now, the budget is $12 million. It had to get to 24. It didn't get there. It's about to leave the top 10. This movie's a bomb, and it's a pretty well-deserved bomb, because I saw it with my sister, and we literally predicted everything that was going to happen, and we were laughing throughout. It was honestly a pretty great time. Review coming soon. But now it's time for the fun part, the predictions for next week's top 5. Now, I'm going to say number 1 is going to be the Emoji Movie. Whether some people like it or not, this movie is probably going to make it to number 1. You got to be realistic with your expectations here, and that's exactly what I'm going to do, because Sony Pictures movies always open at least in the top 5. Like, most of them open at number 1, some a little lower, but always in the top 5. I'm not going to be unrealistic with my prediction just because I'm not looking forward to it. Oh wait, I am looking forward to it. Number 1 most anticipated film of the rest of the year. At number 2, I'm going to put Atomic Blonde, and then I think number 3 will be Dunkirk. I think Atomic Blonde might actually have a chance, especially because Dunkirk only opened at around 50 million and nothing really more than that. Number 4, I think, will be Girls Trip, and number 5, I think, will be SpiderMan Homecoming. But what are your predictions for next week's top 5? Leave it in the comments below, and thank you guys for dealing with my kind of more relaxed talking. My head has been pounding for a couple hours now, so I just had to make this video for you guys, so thanks for putting up with me. And if you got your predictions right for this week, you're going to get a shout out right now. Unless you didn't get it right, then I'm sorry. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.